scheme or loan, so to speak. And of course, last week we did see this year's cohort in terms of the beneficiaries of this loan scheme being read out by this particular amazing board that comes to us and gives us this particular, kind of facilitations. And this is the Higher Education Students Financing Board. And there have been questions, and that's why we'll be getting into this conversation with regards to defaulters, with regards to the amount of money government has set aside in this particular academic year just for this particular, kind of facilitation. And also, what are these disparities about? We're seeing the western and eastern regions still topping the number of beneficiaries with regards to this scheme. So that is the conversation that we'll be having today, and we're seeking your views. What are your questions with regards to this? We do have one of the key stakeholders. Romeo will be telling us that. And yeah, bring your questions. They will be able to be answered this morning on Morning at NTV. Romeo, who do we have in studio?
Indeed, at this juncture, we are now joined by the Senior Communications Officer from the Higher Education Students Financing Board, Mr. Bob Nwajira. Many thanks for joining us on Morning at NTV.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Now, out of the 7,310 students who applied for this loan scheme, only 1,834 got admitted. Why do we have so many students missing out on this loan scheme?
Yes. Well, thank you so much, and good morning.
Good morning.
We, as an institution, would call ourselves as agents. We receive funds from government to advance to students, those who want to access higher education. And in this case, higher education starts from diploma, degree, postgraduate degrees as well. But for now, in this time, we are still considering the diploma and the degree. So the funds that we receive are the funds that we pass on to the students. The Higher Education Student Financing Board has been on since 2014, and we operate with the money that we receive. It is supposed to be a revolving fund. Now, the revolving fund happens to work that students are advanced loans to go to attain their higher education dreams. They graduate. According to the law, they are supposed to pay back that money, and that money is supposed to pay for another student to go back to school. So, having started in about 2014, when you calculate the students that take a shorter period of time are diploma students who take about 2 years or two and a half in school. The rest of the majority, the degree students, take about 3, 4, 5 years. So our very first cohorts of the year 2014, 2015 just graduated a few days ago. And according to the law, we pay for you to be at school for the time you're at school. We give you a 1-year grace period. That is for you to settle in and maybe find something to do. And then we give you twice the amount of time you are at school to pay the loan. So it's a social loan, very interesting loan. So if you did 3 years, you have 1 year as a grace period. So
6 years to repay
6 years to repay back.
So who is eligible for such a loan, and how do they pay back?
Everyone, as long as you're a Ugandan student, you are eligible to apply for this loan. But at this initial stage, we are looking out for those that have a financial need, because there are those who are able to pay for themselves and they don't need a loan to study.
But in most cases, they are the beneficiaries of these loan schemes.
No, right now, our beneficiaries, we apply a means test when we advertise for these loans and when people apply. So we apply a means test which looks out for the needy, even among the needy. Yeah, so but our case right now, we are in a situation which we've realized that there are so many dreams that end at basic education. The statistics are interesting. With UPE, the Universal Primary Education, and the other initiatives, we have an enrollment rate of about 1.4 million children joining into school at primary level. Secondary level, the numbers go slightly lower, about 1.2 million children enrolled for secondary education, and then with the rest of the initiatives in there, the University of Secondary Education, it has brought in many more young people.
Help us demystify this rumor that tends to purport that it's the wealthy who benefit from these schemes because they are well connected.
Yes. Now, we definitely would want to state at the rumor stage. Identifiably, I personally have interacted with these young people who get the loans, and you hear their stories. We go for a verification exercise. We go to their homes. You definitely look at this student and their home, and you know that hadn't it been for this loan scheme, this student wouldn't have left Sierra Leone.
So before you give an applicant a loan, you first go to their home, investigate a little bit if they're indeed a candidate viable for this loan.
Now, before we even do the verification exercise, because I mean we are supposed to do verification right now of 1,800 students, but they have to be at campus at the same time. So we have a system, we called it a means test system. When someone is applying for the loan, we give them a form, and that form you fill some information, and that information is scored. It looks out for some key parameters which indicate that perhaps you could be needy. We will look at your family expenditure. We will look at how you access health services. We will ask about your former secondary education. We'll ask about your school fees. One of your accreditors is your headmaster, your former headmaster. We will look at how many siblings you have in a home. We will pay attention to either you are an orphan or not. Those are some of the areas that we look at.
So that is the form filling stage?
Yes.
Are you saying that with this particular list that was released last week, the 1,834 beneficiaries, are you saying that you've not yet gone down to their homes to do the investigations yet?
Now, when we capture that information is scored. It's called a means test. It is supposed to look out for those indicators. And using the means test, then we are able to determine that this is a needy student.
So at what point do you go down to their homes to verify whether what was filled in this particular form is reality or fake?
Now, given this period that we have right now, we have to give these loans to these students, and they have to start.
So you're battling with time?
Yes, right now they have to go and start with school.
All right.
And immediately after, our officers will be going to the ground to assess all these people to make sure that the information is correlating. But usually our means test does such a great work because it is a computer-generated test. We are so sure that there are some indicators. If someone is an orphan, if someone has been studying from a USE school, University of Secondary Education, if the headmaster says this person used to struggle with school fees, that is an indicator that someone is someone who is needy.
All right.
Yes.
Let's get down to the numbers. Now, when this particular scheme started in 2014-2015 academic year, 1,201 were taken up.
Yes.
Now, and at that point, the scheme was only given 6 billion Uganda shillings.
Yes.
It started at 6B. Now we're in the 2019-2020 financial year, and we have 1,834 who have been, of course, confirmed so far as beneficiaries of this particular scheme in this year. Now the question would be, and this year we have 30 billion set aside for this facilitation. So the question would come, and someone would ask, if when we were starting we only had 6 billion and we were able to take up 1,201, and now we are at 30 billion and we are only able to take 1,834, why are we having that disparity? Someone would think that maybe we would have been able to take up more students in this particular loan given the 30 billion funding.
Yes. The amounts that you are quoting include the amounts because we have new students joining the scheme, but we have thousands other who are still on campus. So we have both the continuing students and we have the new students. We received about 5.2 billion shillings this year, which was enough for us to recruit the 1,800. And indeed, that money, when we received that money, it was enough to bring on board 1,500. But the board employs a number of measures to make sure that this money can go to as many students as possible. So we have those continuing students. Actually, the loans board right now this year, with the addition of the 1,800, we have hit the 10,000 students mark. 10,000 students. Actually, we have 10,024 students paid for, if you add up the 1,834. So we think it's an incredible journey, though it's still on a lower journey if you compare with our neighbors and the other countries in the scheme. We are still lower, but still we think it is a great milestone for us. Yeah, so we have these students coming in, we have to keep on paying for them.
All right.
We have initiatives for them to pay back, including what we call other repayments, because we interact with these students right from the beginning and we tell them this is a loan. It is a social loan. It is a revolving fund. It is supposed to help out these other students to pay. When you pay, another student goes to school. But according to the structure, the way it is structured, we don't have so many other students who have started paying in bulk money for others to go to school. So we have to rely right now still on Parliament allocating us much more money.
Well, Mr. Nwajira, let's focus on the students who missed out.
Yes.
Now, 7,310 students missed out, and only 1,834 got admitted. But then, why doesn't government just raise this threshold of this money to meet the demand?
No, just maybe focusing on the numbers again. We had about 7,310 applying this year.
Yes.
You know, usually we do the sorting because everyone applies. So sometimes you find that those who have applied, some of them don't qualify, because right now the loan scheme is still taking up those students who are joining campus. So you find some second-year, third-year students applying. You find sometimes, right now we are still focusing on science programs, so you find some people in arts applying. So when we do the sorting, when we did the sorting, we found that the eligible ones, those who were eligible, were about 4,700. But as I had elaborated earlier, we have money that is given us, 5.2 billion, which was only enough to afford us to have 1,800. In fact, it was supposed to be 1,500. But you know, when you do a little bit of some stringent measures, you find that students who got public institutions, their tuition is lower than those who got private institutions. So
the 5.2 is for the fresh students who are joining the scheme, but the 30 billion is to make sure that that entire cycle continues, you know, seamlessly. Now, there's been disparities with regards to the regions that have been beneficiaries for this particular year. We're looking at Western region, 38% were successful, Eastern region 25%, Central region 25%, and Northern region again takes the bottom line with 12%. Now, in 2018, this same issue was really, pretty much brought to the fore by the Equal Opportunities Commission, and they were saying, hey, why do we have the Western region always having the highest number of beneficiaries from 2014 continuously? What do you have to say with that? And it seems like the Western and Eastern regions pretty much are the ones that benefit, and in Northern region, still the same. They are at the bottom of this particular pyramid. What would you say is the reason for that?
Now, we have this correlating information, which actually now shows that this year the Northern region is performing very well.
12%?
Not at 12%. This year, out of the applicants that applied from the north, actually the Northern region has the highest success rate this year.
What are the numbers?
48.4% of all the applicants from the Northern region were successful. 33.1% of all the applicants from the Western region were successful. The Eastern region has 41%. Central region comes in after the Northern region as the second with 43%. So
but with regards to that percentage on the successful ones, on the successful ones, on the 1,834, Northern region still holds the bottom line with 12%. The Western and Eastern region and Central region, actually Western region, we have 38% of the 1,834 successful ones, and then the Eastern and Central we have 25%. Now the question has been coming through, not with regards to the applicants, but with regards to them that go through this process successfully and actually become beneficiaries. What did you say with regards to that disparity? Why do we always have the northern region having the low number and the western region always topping the list?
Now let me give you the total number of considered applicants that we definitely have. The central region, from the central region, the bigger, greater central region, we had about 1,055 applicants coming in from the central region. The eastern region brought 1,086. The western region, the greater western region, had about 2,120, and the northern region had about 465. Now those are the successful applicants when we have eliminated out the rest of the other applicants. So you find that even in terms of trying to bring on board regional balance, you find that the scorecard, for instance, for those who come from the northern region and the eastern region, you find that they are performing much better in terms of the scorecard than their counterparts in the western region. But because, number one, for us, it is an open application process, which is open.
No discrimination at all.
It is no discrimination, because we honestly believe that poverty has no borders. Poverty is across. Yeah, if you moved here at Katanga, you'd see poverty. You'd think this is Kampala, but you'd just find it across the board. So we open across the board. But then consequently, along the way, we realized that we were receiving some lower numbers from certain regions, and the board decided to take some measures to make sure that that is addressed. And one of them was just to rally everyone within the regions. And specifically this year, we have the highest number coming in from the northern region and the eastern region, especially the northeastern region.
Highest number of applicants.
Yes, coming in. Yes. Not the highest number in terms of numbers, but also the number of people coming from the region applying. And one of that was to reach out to these leaders. We have employed some measures whereby we are reaching these students while they are in school, because we believe there is a category of people who know their fate, and they know that beyond senior 6, beyond this certificate that I have no other chance. So we are trying so much, number one, to reach them at their school, getting this information, telling them, you know, when exams come out, go check out your results.
So by and large, what you're saying is that this disparity is thanks to information gap.
It was basically, part of it is the information gap, but also part of it is the other statistics that we have from the other sectors, the basic education sector. So you'll find that, for instance, we take on science programs, and when you do look at the statistics that we are having in the regions in terms of science teaching and in terms of the performance in science subjects, the statistics, there is a disparity also in that area. So you find that some regions, central, western, are performing much better in terms of science. So in terms of bringing on board,
so it trickles down.
It trickles down. So that's why the board comes up with and says we will employ a little bit of statistics to bring on board regional balance. And it's not only regional balance, gender. This year we have the highest number.
Congratulations on that one. I have to clap for you, yes.
It's still lower. It is still lower at 34%.
But you've passed the threshold.
Yes, we did. Because we always were in the margins of 26, 25. This year we are on 34%. And still the board had to employ to make sure that in the means test, the female or the girl child is scored a little bit higher and gets a little bit of some success. And even for these regions.
Awesome. So, Mr. Nwajira, let's talk about those students who have already received these loans and completed their courses. Yes. Have they started paying back, first of all?
We are lucky to say that we have indicators to show that these have started paying. We consequently, over the years, we couldn't open up a recoveries department because students hadn't reached that level of recoveries. But this year, beginning with 1st of July this year, we had about 1,700 of them who had graduated the previous year joining the recoveries section. So now that is the group that we have started now asking for them to start paying. To
start thinking of paying.
They're
in their grace period?
No, the grace period has ended. It ended 1st of July.
All right.
So now they have to start paying. So we just have 2 months.
So how many have paid?
I can't certainly quote the number. The numbers keep on growing by day.
Yeah.
But we have collected about 100 million shillings right now. Now, the way this loan is structured, it is such an amazing loan. It's a social loan. You find that, for instance, a medicine student has about 10 years, about 12 years, because if they do 5, they do 1 in transition. So you find someone has about 12 years to pay this loan. Now, if you put their money and you spread it across the 10 years, you find someone paying about 120,000 per month. So it is that basic. So we believe that as the time goes by, we shall start having bulk payments.
Are they paying back with some interest to it, or it's just you're repaying the exact money that the government gave to you?
Being a social loan, you don't want to levy an interest rate, but there is a rate that is paid, which we call value retainance fee. Right now it is at 7%. It moves along with inflation. So we want, if we gave you 3 million shillings to do your engineering degree 3 years ago, when you pay us back, it still has that same value of 3 million shillings. So what we call interest is value retention fee, really. We average it on the annual rate of inflation. If it goes higher, we increase. If it goes lower, we
So it's not
reduce.
capped. It's not capped.
It's not capped. We capped it at 10%. It can't go beyond 10%.
All right.
So, but it is at 7%. If the annual rate inflation goes to 3%, we will push it back.
So at this point, are there any defaulters, and what are you planning to do with these defaulters?
Now, when we give students this loan, we make it very explicit from the beginning. This is a loan. This is not a scholarship. Yeah, part of our role is scholarships, and hopefully the scholarships will be coming on soon.
So have you registered any defaulters so far?
We haven't registered any defaulters, but the law is given such a cap that defaulting will be hard for the student, because at the beginning we train you, and by the way, these students are very appreciative of them, and some of them have already engaged in other repayment schemes. Someone comes, studies during the holidays, they go and plant their onions, sell, come and says, Myron, you gave me about 1.5 last semester, I want to reduce by 500. Very good.
So in the event that a student fails to pay this loan, what would happen to them?
Now, when you get this loan, first and foremost, it is a financial loan. So you get a credit reference bureau card, a financial card. So first, that is already a cap. It is reflecting on your account. So if you don't pay that loan, it will affect your future financial dealings when you go to get any other loan. But also, we engage with you so much. We have measures whereby this law is also a statutory loan right now. Where if you were a beneficiary and you are employed by a national media group, the system is in place right now that before they employ you, they will find out that you're actually a beneficiary.
So
based on the financial card?
Not based on the financial card. We have a system which we have flashed now to employers, all employers.
With effect 2019?
Yes, with effect with this year.
Okay.
So it flashes you, it says Bob is a former loan student, and according to the law, this is a statutory loan that after your salary, after they've taken off your NSSF, your payee, the next will be the student loan.
All right.
Yeah,
So no escaping?
There's no escaping. But also for those in the informal sector, we know that they are there.
Let me ask you this, Mr. Ambrose.
Yes.
We know unemployment is a reality, and the majority would go through this particular. I know the government was saying that, hey, we have a bias for science students because they have more likelihood of getting employment post-education. What then happens to that 1 or 2 or X number of students who successfully go through the education process, they pass with flying colors and are not able to secure themselves unemployment? What happens in that state?
Well, that is something that is reality right now. Right from the beginning, we've had these conversations, and even moving away from the law, because the law says we will not wait for employment. We say income. We believe that after your grace period, you should be in a state of earning some little bit of income. And given the length of the repayment period, your payment schedules are very, very basic, we think. We want to stay on that level of saying, hey, this is something that has facilitated you to move from point A to point B. And we believe by the time you move from point A to point B, you have amassed enough information, you have amassed enough wealth. Now, these students, we are not just, we don't work like banks where you are given a loan and you are left to go. No, we keep engaging with these students.
Okay.
At every semester, we meet with these students. We bring them a lot of teachings about financial discipline, saving, wealth creation. We are bringing so much wealth of information to help them facilitate to pay these loans. So, and there are some things that are very basic. Now, we'll give an example we usually give to these students. If you start, you are doing an engineering course for 4 years at Makerere, and in your very first year, you just get one goat or two goats. A goat produces after every 5 months. Over the years, there is an accumulation that is happening. So it is about mindset change. There is so much that is being done. There's a student that I'm very, very, very interested in, a student from Kapchorwa. He did his diploma, and he did very well. He graduated. He wants us to pay him to do his degree. And what he's decided, he went back home over the holidays, and he's planted about 2 acres of onions.
Oh, great.
And he says when he harvests, he believes that it will cater for about 3/4 of his loan amount that he has to pay right now.
So in his situation, are you giving him the degree education loan before he repays the diploma one?
He's now working very hard to clear his diploma.
So first you have to repay before you get the next loan?
Yes, before you get to the next level. But again, we will see what is your initiative. Is this someone who has worked so hard to clear this outstanding loan before they take on another one? And if you have cleared perhaps almost 3/4 of your money, then there is progress to show that this is even in banks. If you are clearing your loan very fast, they even call you, can we give you more money?
Okay, finally, as we wrap up, Mr. Nwajira, what's your advice to the government in as far as ensuring higher student enrollment for this program is concerned, in light of those that are missing out?
We definitely have right now a big burden. When we released these results on Tuesday last week, by the time it hit Friday, we had close to 600 applicants. And the process is still going on for another week. So we will hit the 1,000 ceiling, which we have not in previous years. It has shown us one thing, that there is a need. The need is high, extremely high. We are even having calls from continuing students telling us, please pick us up on. Someone does 2-3 years and about to graduate, they drop out of campus. For us, we work with what is given to us. My appeal would be that the need is big. Parliament is the one that allocates this money, and we have seen members of parliaments themselves coming to us and saying, we have many more students in our constituencies coming to us and telling us, can you have this? And our appeal is, if more money could be allocated until such a time where the scheme is going to be self-sustaining, when the revolving fund has come in huge chunks that it is able to run independently. Right now, those appellants, we are worried ourselves.
Well, it's been over 5 years since the inception of this program.
Yes.
What are the challenges you've encountered along the way, and what viable solutions would you like to see come into force?
The first would be the funding gap. We consistently, over the years, when you look at the numbers of people interested in the loan scheme is growing. When it started in 2014, we had 2,125 applicants. Right now we have 7,000 applicants. The number keeps on going, but we are able to pay for just a basic number. Part of the other challenges is we want this information to reach as wide as possible. So we are appealing to everyone to put this information out. There is always someone who has that need for higher education.
That was the Senior Communications Officer for the Higher Education Students Financing Board. Many thanks, Mr. Bob Nwajira, for honoring our call and coming to talk to us. Thank you for demystifying some of these rumors, and we hope there is higher enrollment. Seriously, 1,000 versus 7,000, there's more to be done. You agree?
Yeah, there is.
You're still watching Morning at NTV. We are glad you've joined us since 6:30 right about now. We are going in for a traffic update with Stephen Bide. Stephen Bide, if you can hear us.
Yes, Romeo. Indeed, this is the Wampel Avenue roundabout. It's called the Wampel roundabout just because it borders Wampel Avenue, coming from the other side of Kololo, sloping towards Ginger Road, and of course borders Ginger Road on my right. And behind me is